It all began in 2010 when I personally met Fred Bischoff. I knew about him because of my friend Uriel, who was renting a room at his house at Loma Linda in 2009. And back then he sent me some audiobooks, from 1893, from a person called A.T. Jones I didn't even know about. And he asked me to edit those audios. And I did. And I was amazed with that information. I said, wow, these people knew how to preach. And that was the beginning of everything. And 2010, it was the General Conference in Atlanta. And he invited me to be there and help out at the booth. This booth and this ministry I knew little about. And it was really excited. I was excited. It was 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. And I met this guy, this amazing person called Fred Bischoff. I was pretty impressed with his simplicity. But there was something about him that really impressed me. The way he talked, he used to talk about the Bible a lot, and his tone of voice, it was really captivating to me, and we had long conversations I could never forget. Later on, I found out he was a medical doctor, and I was impressed. He had this old car, but I found out that he chose to dedicate his life to this ministry. A ministry I knew little about. I was starting to know, and I knew it had something to do with history, with the pioneers and the materials of the pioneers. But apparently, it didn't seem to me a big thing, to dedicate his life, choose from medical career to dedicate his life to put books together into a digital library and go around preaching and telling people about Adventist history and Bible studies. But only those who actually did researches in physical libraries, looking into trying to find quotations from different authors and different books, and what a work that used to be, and to find out that you can just go digital and look for keywords and find just about anything you want. You can really appreciate that. Fred was a mentor to me. Anytime I faced a dilemma or a big decision I had to make, I knew I had to call Fred. It didn't take long for me to learn that I could find in him a personal friend and a guide, not because of his own words, because he rarely used his own words. He actually guided me to the Bible. He seemed to always have a story that I could relate to, or a Bible text that we could actually relate to the circumstance. And this was the most amazing thing for me, and I'm already missing that a lot. I believe Fred was a leader. He was not a very common type of leader. He was a Christ-like leader. He was a leader that knew how to lead by example. Just his presence and the way he behaved himself could be a rebuke, if you were doing something wrong, or you could ask him a question and he will ask you a question again. So what do you think about this and this and that? And it will make you think and come to your own conclusions. This was amazing. He was a visionary. He had a vision, and that was clear. He really wanted God's people to learn who they really are, Seventh-day Adventists. And he wanted to do this by reviewing our precious history and going point by point in the prophetic line, showing us what we believe, what was the mission God gave us, and the messages and the landmarks and the ministries that God gave us to finish this work. Another thing that Fred was really good at, and a lot of people would testify that, he was really good at connecting the dots. He could see the big picture, but he could also go into details and pinpoint the puzzle, like putting things together, comparing scripture with scripture and the history as to make sense in a flow. This was highly appreciated. I really appreciated that. And the way I study the Bible today is highly affected by his counsels on how to connect the dots and compare scriptures with scripture. And I remember he used to use the quote from Education, page 190, all the time. And that was a very key thing for me. I really believe Fred left a legacy. He impacted the lives of many people in the personal level. And I know that. I've met many people who come by the booth wherever we are and asked about Fred and comment about the impact he had in his life or her life. This is something that people will remember. I was really impacted by his life in a way I cannot even fully express. I cannot even imagine my life without having known Fred. I don't even know, I have no idea where I would be right now. I'm really confident that we're all going to see him in the resurrection day. Not because Fred was perfect or of any good thing that he did, or not at all, but because of his constant dependence upon God and the righteousness of Christ. This is a legacy he left, and the work he did is embedded throughout all the writings of the pioneers, and also his writings. He has a personal website full of his articles and writings, which I'm so grateful for, and I'm still going through these. But his work, it's not stopping. God says that the works of the saints go on, and his work is going on. He's going forward. What he started, God will finish, and he will use any one of us. He would use you. He wants to use children. He wants to use older people. He wants to use everyone who is willing to be used to hasten the coming of Jesus. This was his primary goal, his vision, his aim. I knew that the thing he wanted the most was to see Jesus coming in the clouds, and I'm fully confident that he will see that, even though he's not going to be alive when Jesus comes, but it's going to be like a blinking